forward-looking views on where we're going?
All debate, this whole, what you've been going through for the last few years, every argument you've had. Do you have any sort of midterm to long-term view on where we're going? Or if you don't, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, we're going in many directions at once. And the question is the fundamental trajectory downhill or uphill? And I would say that depends on you.
Western society in particular.
What's that?
Western society.
Yes, yeah. Yes. No, and more globally. I worked on the UN Secretary General's report on sustainable development for about 2 years and read a very large number of texts on environmental problems and opportunities and economic development. And what happened to me was that I got way more optimistic than I was before I started reading those books. So many things have happened in the last 40 years that are so good you just can't believe it. We've lifted more people out of abject poverty in the last 15 years than in the entire course of human history in terms of sheer numbers of people. And starvation, except for political reasons, is now pretty much absent across the world. There hasn't been any wars in the Western Hemisphere for about a decade. That's really something, and no major wars plague us at the moment. That's quite something, given that there are 7 billion of us, and there's only going to be 9 billion, by all appearances. It's going to peak out at about 9 billion, and my suspicions are in 100 years, one of the biggest problems we'll face is that there's just not enough people.
Question, do y'all realize the philosopher we have on our hands today? There's a lot of people who are on point, a lot of people who can guide you and give you the tools necessary to be a better you, be a stronger, smarter you, to think more, to challenge more. But there's not one, in my opinion, that's bigger than Jordan Peterson so far. And that's hard for me to say too, because I just now met him through my reactions a month and a half ago, something like that. This is definitely a treat, man, especially for this point in my life where I need this type of that grown man, go get it, be intelligent about your moves, understand the world a little more than you understand it right now. What you're able to achieve is all on you. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. This gentleman is pushing me to want to know more, to want to learn more, and then want to share more, to share this this individual in his books that people have sent me. Shout out to my amazing supporters for sending me his books, hardback books and audibles. I appreciate that. Use those joints in the gym all the time. All right, let's get back to it, man. He's on point.
Suspicions are in 100 years, one of the biggest problems we'll face is that there's just not enough people.
Wow.
And you never hear that, but I really do believe it's likely to be the case.
Yeah.
And we can certainly carry 9 billion people without doing the planet undue environmental damage. And people who claim otherwise, I think a lot of things about that. But one of the things I don't think is that that's an accurate viewpoint. We're doing far better than we were 40 years ago feeding people, and right. We can certainly pack in another 2 billion. It turns out that if you want to control population, though I wouldn't really recommend that as an occupation, all you have to do is educate women, and that's the end of that problem. Then you also have educated women, and we know that's very annoying, but it seems to be.
Shout out to my guy. Man, we know that's very annoying. Big props to educated women, but we all know that's very annoying. He is so honest and easy about his honesty, bro. What are you going to say? Let's have a conversation. If I offend you, I didn't mean it, but hey, let's have a conversation about it.
Seems to be. It seems to be working out. It's a great predictor of general economic development. It's actually, I think, the best predictor of a society's future economic development is the attitude that they hold towards the education of women. And luckily, it's in the positive direction, and so that's very cool. And then it certainly seems to be the case that the fastest way out of a given environmental conundrum is to make absolutely poor people richer as fast as you possibly can, because then they do things like, well, they don't burn wood anymore. Maybe they burn coal, and I know coal is evil, but it's not as evil as wood. And I don't know if you know this, but 1.6 million children die every year because of the indoor pollution that wood burning causes. It's like
Wow.
if the nuclear industry had a record like that, that would be all over the newspapers, but
Wow.
they're just third world children after all. So,
Wow.
you know, the planet has too many people on it anyways. And so,
Wow, that's cold. That's cold, but he's spitting facts. That's cold, but he's spitting facts. It's like, you know what I mean? The world has to refurbish anyway. What can we do?
so there's all sorts of things I see that are so radically positive that it beggars description. I mean, India and China alone have greened an area because of agricultural transformation the size of the Amazon, and partly as a consequence of increased carbon dioxide levels, an semi-arid area, it's either the size of the Amazon or Alaska, I don't remember which, has greened in the last 15 years. And so these are things you never hear. You have to ferret them out. But as far as I can tell, if we got our act together and actually wanted it, instead of wanting to burn everything to the ground in an orgy of guilt-ridden self-destruction,
Whoa, an orgy
we could set
of
up a
guilt.
world in 15 years where absolutely everyone had plenty to eat and where obesity would be the primary problem. It's a good problem, actually. It's like, oh no, you know, we have too much food. What are we going to do?
bro.
That's a good problem. And where everyone was educated, because the cost of education is falling precipitously, and we could do that in a way that was actually beneficial to the environment, whatever that is. So I would say fundamentally I'm optimistic, but if we want hell, we could certainly have that. And you might say, well, you don't want hell. It's like, yeah, really, eh? You might want to ask yourself that question real seriously, because there's a part of you that would wreak vengeance on God for the catastrophic suffering of being.
Go ahead, man. You know what he's teaching me too? You don't have to rush what you have to say. Think about it. Be careful with it. Read the room. Say whatever the hell you got to say. Think about it. Read the room. Say what you got to say. I love his delivery, man. Like it's so wholesome, man. It's like I'm well learned, I'm well studied. I mean you no harm. I mean you well. I have some information for you. You know what I mean? I have some information for you. Here, take that. Hold up, I got some more here. Take that. Hold up, wait. I got some more. Man, let me know when you're done with that. I got some. Oh, you going some more? Okay. And it's based off of how much we can take at the time. How much information can we, you know what I mean, put in our heads, put in our body, put in our soul and our spirit. That's, here, take more. Take more. And let's talk about everything. Let's talk about everything, how we can make this planet better. But let's also hold you guys accountable, because that's what he's about to do. He's about to hold every single one of us accountable and let us know, hey, don't act like you all want better, because you're doing stuff daily on purpose to say otherwise. So let's break it down, sir.
On God for the catastrophic suffering of being. That's for sure. And that's Cain, right? So no,
Wow.
I'm optimistic, because I also don't believe that our fundamental motivations are that of a corrupt will. I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong factually, and I think it's an appalling claim philosophically, and it's a radically destructive claim ethically, demoralizing, a terribly demoralizing claim, and demoralizing enough to really hurt people. And I've seen many, many people, maybe thousands of people, maybe tens of thousands of people hurt by that claim, hurt to the deep recesses of their soul. But I would say, like, it depends. Depends on what you choose to do. Really, depends on what you choose to do. You know, I read once, I think this was in a Solzhenitsyn novel, although it might not have been. And it's certainly not his idea. It's an idea from one of the church fathers, that God is a circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere.
Wow.
Nice mathematical model of God. I like it a lot. But there's something about it that's really true. You know, we interact with one another as if there's a spark of the divine within us. And you say, well, no, we don't. It's like, well, if you don't, then no one likes you. So
if you don't, then no one likes you.
in us, and you say, well, no, we don't. It's like, well, if you don't, then no one likes you. So, you know, that'll be its own punishment, because we certainly do interact with the people we value.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see, whoo. When people say that I'm a people person, it's because they decided to be a people person. They realize that the type of feedback that they get from that exchange of energy, they love it. It makes them feel great. That's why being selfless sometimes is selfish, because a lot of times when we're doing something for someone, we're doing it for ourselves. I think I seen a Chris Rock stand-up comedy earlier, and he was talking about he gave a homeless guy $5, and he knew how selfish he was being by giving him $5, because he was doing it just to appease God. Like, look at me, God, I'm doing something good. I'm only doing this. I'm gonna feel good after this. I'm in for a blessing after this, huh? You know what I mean? Sometimes we do that for that reason, but I stay in front of people's face all the time, because I want everyone that if I ever have a conversation with you one-on-one, on the phone, via email, via DM, whatever, I want that conversation to be memorable. I want that conversation to be memorable, and it's so easy for me to make that conversation memorable because I've gotten to a point where I don't have to hide anything. You know what I mean? I don't mind the smoke that comes with whatever you feel or think about me. And that confidence comes from people and gentlemen like Jordan Peterson, who's constantly teaching that if you want this, do that. But if you want that, then do that. Good or bad, you already know. You're very intelligent. Go for what you want. So, I didn't talk enough.
Be its own punishment, because we certainly do interact with the people we value when we're acting in a manner that we regard as appropriate.
That's right.
As if there is something about them that's of transcendent and in some sense eternal value. And you might say, well, you don't believe that. It's like, well, do you believe in natural rights? Because the notion of natural rights is predicated on that underlying presupposition or observation.
That's right.
And you don't believe in natural rights, well, then again, where are you exactly? And who are you exactly? And those are questions very much worth posing. And so I think that truth is more powerful than deceit by a large margin.
Yeah, it is.
And I think love is more powerful than hate by a large margin. I don't mean naive love, and I'm not naive about people. I don't mean that at all. But I think it is possible for us to rise above the resentment of our suffering and to wish the best for all things. And I think we can participate in that. And you do that, well, by extending your hand to your enemy to the degree you're capable of doing that, because who needs enemies? Or maybe you do, but it'd be better not to have them, I think, even if they're convenient targets to defeat. And then truth, well, that's the handmaiden of love. And that's something everyone can practice at every moment if they desire that.
If they desire.
And that's an adventure.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're acting deceitfully, you already specify the outcomes of your actions.
Thank you. Thank you. The truth is an adventure. A lot of people don't want to go through that. They're like, nope, no. I'm playing play it safe. I'd rather lie to you. I don't want you knowing all my business.
You know, if you're acting deceitfully, you already specify the outcomes of your actions. And you pursue that, but the problem with that is it's predicated on the acceptance of your own authoritarian completeness. It's like, what the hell do you know about what you should have? And so what do you do instead? You just do your best to not lie and see what happens.
That's right.
And what happens are wonderful things, although perhaps not at the beginning, when there's a lot of mess to claw through. So sorry for the lengthy answer, but it was a complicated question.
The guy he's a genius, man. He's kind. He's honest. And he also goes off of his own personal experiences as well, but he tried to look beyond into everybody's potential experiences and takes into account that we are all intelligent and we can pretty much write our own stories if we want. And for that, I'm appreciative because I believe it. I don't believe anyone else can write my story but me. And I believe that if there's ever anything that I manifest, that I say out loud, or I say to myself, or you know what I mean, or I'm thinking something that a goal that I want to achieve, I'm manifesting it. Then I need to put measures in place to make sure that those things happen for me. And I've been seeing progress in every single part of my life that I've put measures in place. And I'm watching things start to really move in the directions that I want them to move. And that makes me feel validated. It definitely validates what I've been doing. It tells me to stay on the path. Stay on the path. Might go right, might go left here and there, but as long as you're staying on the path of going toward your goal, not away from it, you know, adding value to your life, not detriment, hurt, harm, anything that could possibly do something negatively to your family or yourself or to what you're trying to accomplish. Just continue to move forward. And that's why it's important that I do reactions on people like Jordan Peterson. Hopefully y'all got something from this. Please let me know what you think about this in the comments below. If you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I am Van, and now we are all the LFR family. I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and hopefully inside the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing. Your support, I can't even tell you how much that means to me, but thank you so much. Oh yeah, and feel free to go to LFRFamily.com, and you might see something that you might like or not. All right, see you next time. Love you.